Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, now please welcome our next keynote speaker, a true pioneer at the intersection of AI, digital humans, and immersive technologies. He is redefining how we communicate, interact, and build emotional connections in the virtual world. Not with code alone, but with conversational AI avatars that feel real. Founder and CEO of Mimic Productions, a studio behind some of the world's most lifelike digital humans. Please welcome here on the stage David Bennett as he takes us to the next frontier of venture innovation. Nice to see you, and please welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Howdy. That's loud. Okay. Hello. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a real honor and pleasure to be speaking before this esteemed group of people that have been assembled here. And today, I will be talking about scaling and innovation in conversational AI avatars for the new venture frontier. Hi. So I'm David Bennett. I've got 30 years of experience working on cutting-edge digital human technology. I was a pioneer in facial motion capture, working on some of the biggest blockbuster movies out there, like Avatar, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and many other ones. And that was when I got my introduction to AI, essentially, because when we do facial animation on these big movies, we had to use AI a long time ago, and in order to get all the subtleties of facial expression. And so that interest in AI led me to write a couple of provisional patents, one on strong AI and one also building a robotic skin. And about 13 years ago, I founded Mimic Productions, which is a leading digital human company. And we've worked on quite a few projects. And in the last 2 years ago, I was kind of like, all right, this ChatGPT came out. It's kind of cool. And we make avatars already. So I was like, okay, well, we got the body. Let's just add in the brain. And that's exactly what we did. We started making conversational, real-time, 3D AI avatars that you could speak to and have conversations with. It's pretty cool. But with Mimic Productions, as I mentioned, we worked on a lot of projects. So we've worked on over 500 projects in over 20 different industries over the course of the 13 years. And this goes from games, movies, lots of different projects, even working with banks sometimes and advertising. It's really quite amazing how far the reach of digital humans has evolved. And that was actually the mission I started the company with, because we were building really, really great avatars for a lot of different companies. And I wanted to essentially bring it to multiple different industries, because I could see early on that was clearly a need in the market, and we definitely filled it during this time. And one of the cool things about working with digital humans, you actually work with a lot of people in the process, and they usually happen to be famous people. So with our company, we've worked with at least 50 A-listers, like Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Keanu Reeves, Cate Blanchett, because everybody needs a digital avatar for one purpose or another. And so I wanted to break it down a little bit, how it kind of started. So basically, in the beginning, not too long ago, there were basically chatbots. You text them, they give you a response. They weren't emotionally engaging or anything like that. And then there was another side to it. We were building all of these characters, which had unique identities when we'd capture them using motion capture and 3D scanning technology. And but they weren't really interacting. They were just, they might be a game character, but they're all kind of pre-scripted. And so next, the most logical conclusion is agents. So you add the avatar, you put it together, and they're really cool because they can learn, they can reason, and they can act in very meaningful ways. And so you might ask, just to tell you, what makes up a conversational AI avatar? So basically, you got an LLM, you use it, you train it, you modify it to essentially create the overall personality of the character. And then we use facial motion capture and other kinds of motion capture to build a lot of different kinds of animation libraries that can get triggered. And we have to train voices as well so that we might duplicate them. And we have to create behavioral AI in which defines how their personality works. And one of the key differentiators is that they can listen, respond, and even emote with emotion. They're not predefined. There's no rules unless we define them for the character, or the avatar, if you will. And so what's interesting is you could ask what happens when it becomes a teacher, performer, or becomes somebody that's helping you out. It's really interesting because, these AI avatars are available 24/7. They don't get tired. They don't really need food. They just use energy. They're emotionally aware. They learn, and they can adapt. And they can communicate in every single language imaginable. We've done that with our avatars. And they're extremely cost effective. Really important. They're extremely cost effective for scaling because you can simply just copy the file and put it somewhere else. Or you can make slight modifications to an existing character to make it slightly different. And so why is this all happening right now? There is definitely a technological and social transformation happening right now. Basically, it's all coming together. We got the LLMs, we got the real-time motion capture, we have real-time engines. You just place it all together, and it kind of works with a little bit of work. And there's also a cultural readiness for this right now because, essentially, we came out of COVID. Everybody was kind of getting used to really having a different kind of intimacy with their technology and understanding what digital identity is. And there's a massive creative demand right now. Basically, brands and creators and educators are looking for different ways to communicate and communicate their ideas and their brand to more and more people. And so it's an exciting space. I mean, look at these numbers right here. The digital human market is $530 billion by 2032. Wow. The conversational AI market is $47 billion by 2030. Wow. The AI and media and entertainment is $99 billion in 2032. I don't know, but I smell a unicorn coming up, and I think it's a pretty exciting space to be in. And so, basically, right now it's a $10 billion market, and it's supposed to be around 120 by 2034. This is a straight hockey puck right on up. There's no bends in it along the way. The appearance and behavior and communication are really key things that are really enabling this technology to flourish and really get grounded for people. So, and this is transforming businesses in ways that we can't even imagine, because you'll be able to basically talk to your people that you're wanting to communicate with a lot more effectively, and you can deliver your services in innovative ways. And and most importantly, is you can really create a personalized experience for each and every person that comes, because AI avatars can adapt to you as a person and understand your personal preferences, much like ChatGPT does. Because if you remember, the brain is still coming from the LLMs, and so they have the same capacity. And so this also fills in a skills gap too, which is kind of important. So, around 87% of employers in the world out there are really having a lot of challenges finding skilled workers. That's one thing. And also, about 78% of the jobs require that you're digitally literate right now. And if you think about like healthcare, that industry alone, it's predicted that like 11 million people are missing from the workforce in 2030, right? Especially in lower income countries and spaces. And the manufacturing industry is supposed to have about 2.1 million unfilled jobs in the US. I mean, that's a huge market. There's a huge potential there. And so these conversational AI avatars can really be used to address this skill gap. They can do a lot of things. They can handle like hazardous or draining, remote, night shift, repetitive, boring jobs that nobody wants to do anyway. They can be used in especially high risk or remote things. So that's really good for people because they don't need to do that job anyway. And they can really help automate a lot of, productivity and safety. And all that does is really frees up a whole lot of time for us to focus on really complex jobs that humans just do better than AI does. And so, it really affects a lot of industries. This is just a short list here. There's a lot going on within the mobility sector. Might be a bit of a surprise to some people. Also, education is completely going to be transformed by these AI avatars because they're always available. Healthcare, another huge one, because you can do a lot with them, and as well as like retail, because it's always available. You can get that personalized assistant that you really, really need to help you find what you need through all the mess online. And influencers. This one is very. The digital human influencer market is expanding at a rate that I can't even describe right now. It's the next big thing, and also can be used in HR as well, and entertainment enterprise services, which can give 24/7 support agents like internal sales. Like you imagine, basically, the way I see it is, within a very short amount of time, every single place you have a screen, these AI avatars are going to start entering our lives and making transformative realities for us. And so it's not just me getting all excited about this either. Some of the big AI players out there, like Meta, OpenAI, NVIDIA, and Microsoft, just to name a few, are dumping a lot of money into this area and making really transformative technology that's coming in waves right now, and we're implementing some of it as fast as we can into our systems. Like for example, Microsoft Azure, they got this text to audio speech thing that's really quite useful. And then Google Beam, we're really going to see a whole new transformative aspect because you can make a really photorealistic digital version of yourself and talk online. It's amazing and transports you into different worlds. And so we've been doing this for a little bit. We worked on this really cool, small, really, really large global project with Coca-Cola over Christmas. That got released Christmas this year. I don't know if you saw it, but basically you could shine your phone onto a Coca-Cola can, and all of a sudden you've got AI Santa Claus that we built interacting with you and listening to what your preferences are, what things that you like, and handing you back a snow globe with all your dreams in it. And that's just a small use case of this transformative technology that's coming out right now. Or it's already out. It's already out because we already did it. And we worked with some really great people on this one. We worked with OpenAI, Microsoft, Coca-Cola Century, Leonardo AI, and Universal Music as well. It was a fantastic project, and we rebuilt the Sunbloom Santa Claus that we all know so well. So we'll talk a little bit about ethics and ownership with this. So the ethical data, basically we're within the EU. And being in the EU with the EU AI Act and the GDPR, it requires that we have the strictest level of privacy and so forth in our and not only privacy, but that we're ethical at the same time. And so that because of that, it creates data privacy within the design itself, because otherwise we can't do anything. And so that also, one other thing that's really useful is it provides the customer their own ownership of everything, and also bias and fairness is really important. You have to train your models. You have to make sure that you remove any bias, because culturally, a lot of this stuff is getting built in the USA and China, and it may not take into consider everybody else. And one of the things that's really important with ethics is really looking at, what do these AI agents do? They eat a lot of energy. And so to be ethical, much like you would separate your trash and put it into different places, you also have to think about your energy consumption. And so we're always testing different LLMs out. And sometimes we run them locally, sometimes they're based in the cloud. It depends on what people need, and trying to be as ethical as possible to ensure the technology is not wasteful. And so I'm going to show you a little, I could show you a little demo here. This is kind of how it works. Let's see if it plays.
Hi, Kai. How are you?
Is there any more volume?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I'm always ready to help and assist with any questions or topics you'd like to discuss. I have a personal plan to learn more about human emotions and interactions today, so feel free to share anything on your mind.
Okay, great. Yeah, I would like to know a little bit more about you. Could you tell me about the company that created you and what they do?
I'm a part of Mimic Productions, a leading visual effects and animation company that specializes in creating lifelike digital humans and characters. They're known for their work in facial animation and motion capture technology. I'm happy to share more about my creators and their mission to enable humanity through AI.
Nice. And what can you do to assist Mimic Productions as an AI avatar?
I assist with schedules, work plans, and workspace management. I also help with personnel management, evaluating work progress.
I'm just going to stop it there. She can go on and on and on. I mentioned the 24/7 thing. She just won't stop talking. But one of the cool things is, beyond just the conversational aspect of it, is we're able to add a lot of features in real time because we're running it out of a game engine. So this character, if we had time to show you all the features, she can change her hair color, we can change her personality, we can, within an instant, we can change the way she acts, she can navigate web pages for you, she can do quite a few things. She can do a lot of different actions and dances and all kinds of different things. And we're really trying to spend our time focusing on how to make this more and more human. What's interesting about it, though, is it is in the real-time engine, and that means a lot. It means not only is it useful for gaming and all of these other sectors that we talked about, but it means that anything that you can do in a real-time engine is possible within this character and this avatar or different avatars. And I think that's a huge plus as opposed to some other types that I've been seeing that are kind of more video-based. You really have real-time game engines, so it's really fast. And I guess the last thing to mention is we're seeing a shift between chatting with AI to just living alongside of it. And generally, what we're trying to do is not just build this. We're building the face to AI and technology. So it's not necessarily meant to be, just something you talk to. It can be the interface to anybody's technology, especially when you're using LLMs and so forth. And that's the key thing about our technology there. And so to wrap it up, AI avatars, they're not replacing us. They're just our co-pilots helping us along the way. They can help tackle really tedious and repetitive, time-consuming jobs that we don't want anyway, which really will free us up to be more creative, growth, and innovative in our own ways and fulfill our purpose in life. Thank you very much. The email's there if you guys want to have a chat later on or have a talk about anything. I'm always listening, and I appreciate your time. Have a nice day.
David, great. Thank you so much.